Third part or the third model is cognitive academic language proficiency. Cognitive academic language proficiency is a term proposed by Jim Cummins, refers to the stage of learning that learners go through after they have mastered the social language communication skills. So this is a stage where they have already mastered certain basic interpersonal communication skills, and now they are moving on to a higher level of proficiency, which is cognitive academic language proficiency. Now, this is a stage where learners attempt to master academic technical language and become proficient in the area of academic proficiency as well as the technical aspects of the academic language. Become proficient in articulating their views in the range of contexts, including curriculum subjects, area demands such as hypothesis, debating, reasoning, questioning, and generalizing. So these are the higher stages, or the tasks are pretty high as compared to the basic intercultural or basic interpersonal communication skills, which are simply focusing on day-to-day interaction. But this is an academic relevant stage where a learner is required to debate, to introduce a claim, a point of view, and to make his views and ideas common to all, relevant to all, in order to question and generalize and reason out what he or she attempts to advocate. The image that you have presents the Iceberg model, where you have the basic interpersonal communication skills at the surface and cognitive academic language proficiency that happens underneath. Now, as we can see, basics are everyday language for personal and social communication. The skills are developed in 1 to 3 years of its exposure to any language, and these skills are not necessarily related to academic success. Whereas the cognitive academic language proficiency is the language needed to undertake academic tasks in the mainstream classroom. It includes content-specific vocabulary, that's why it is specialized and technical communication. It is developed in 5 to 6 years. It is basic interpersonal develops 1 to 3 years, but it requires highly sophisticated communication based on cognition and based on cognitive academic proficiency. Therefore, this period is more than this period. When developed in the first language, contributes to the development of cognitive academic language proficiency in the second language. So when this is developed in the first language, it facilitates the second language acquisition also. The cognitive process of academic language is being facilitated after it is mastered in the first language of a learner. Cognitive academic language proficiency is said to occur in context-reduced environment, context-reduced academic situation. Now, this is quite contrary to the basic interpersonal communication skill, which takes place in the context-embedded environment. So this is reduced. Basically, it is reduced to only academic setting. So it does not take into account the other social setup. That's why it is called context-reduced, where higher order thinking skills, analysis, synthesis, evaluation are required in curriculum language is disembedded. So basically, the tasks are quite advanced as compared to the basic skills. Here you need to analyze, you really need to combine ideas together, and you really need to assess or do the evaluation, which are the higher level of tasks. That's why language is disembedded, where there are very insufficient cues or clues from the environment. Where language is disembedded, the situation is often referred to as context reduced. So where you do not have lot of environmental facilitation, it leads to the reduction of the context, making it a very focused or minimal context in terms of language communication. So we see that basic interpersonal communication, you have this conversational fluency, includes silent period, because first the input is understood, and orally when some language input is given, the learner silently observes and listens and then develops this. And early production is 1000 words in 1 year. Speech emerges 3000 words 1 to 2 years. Now cognitive academic language proficiency, school language, focus on school language. Intermediate fluency 6000 words 1 to 5 years. Advanced and continuing language development 7000 word plus from 7 to 5 and even 10 years. So CALP or cognitive academic language proficiency is the context reduced language. It takes 5 to 7 years. English language learners to become proficient. Non-verbal clues are absent. Non-verbal behavioral gestures are not present there. There is less face-to-face interaction, more emphasis on the imparting of academic books or academic information. It's often abstract since it only relies on the textbook material or the course books. Literacy demands high level, which means narrative, expository textbooks are written beyond the language proficiency of the students, and cultural linguistic knowledge is often needed to comprehend fully. So the books are narrowly written in terms of their objectives. It's basically textbooks, and cultural linguistic knowledge is often required to interpret what is presented in those textbooks. So this particular model refers to formal academic learning, which includes proficient language skills in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Now here Cummins argues that there's some misunderstanding on the part of the teacher, that if they feel that they have sound interpersonal communication skills, they would also perform better in the classroom as well. But that is not the case, because the cognitive academic language proficiency is a higher form of proficiency, and it does not guarantee that if somebody who has sound basic interpersonal communication skills would also perform well in the classroom setting as well. These are some of the definitions or some of the ideas by different researchers which are related to basically the cognitive academic language proficiency. Abilities to construct meaning from oral and written language, relate complex ideas, set of words, grammar and organizational strategies used to describe complex ideas, and describing higher order thinking. They say that it is analyzing, seeking information, comparing, informing, explaining, predicting, classifying, justifying, hypothesizing, solving problems, synthesizing, persuading. So these are the higher order thinking components, and all these come under the domain of cognitive academic language proficiency. To conclude, cognitive academic language proficiency is the term used to discuss the formal language used in academia, which often decontextualized. This language often involves large and uncommon words used with little face-to-face reinforcement and non-verbal communication.